Let me share with you a few controversial truths about e-commerce store success. You hear a lot of fallacies, a lot of myths, a lot of falsehoods. And into this conversation, I really want to really clarify things for you if you are an e-commerce store owner and you are trying to really do the right thing. Okay. The first controversial truth is that people say, well, if you build it, they will come. This is not really true. I mean, the thing is, if you build an e-commerce store, if you build whatever you build, if you don't really think about the customer pain point, if you don't think about the economy, if you don't think about the geography, if you don't think about the psychographics of your target audience, the audience is not going to come. So the whole thing about if you build it, the people will come is not really true, especially when it comes to an online store, when it comes to having an online store. Why? Because you are getting competition from a lot of places, okay? And you can't just say, well, if I build this store this way, customers will come because they will appreciate the service that I'm actually offering. It doesn't work that way, okay? So this is a big controversial truth about e-commerce store success. Of course, if you build it, people will come if you make sure that you are proposing products or services that people want, people need, okay? It's all about making sure you are solving a pain point. If you build a store that solves a pain point or several pain points, then yeah, people will come. Okay, but just by building it, people will come. It's not really true. So this is a controversial truth. The second controversial truth about e-commerce store success is that you hear a lot of people say, well, it's all about the lowest price. No, this cannot be further from the truth. Okay, pricing is just one factor that customers pay attention to if they have to make a decision when it comes to buying from an online store. Of course, they'll pay attention to pricing, they'll pay attention to customer service, they'll pay attention to social proof. So basically, the reviews that they hear, the reviews they read on Facebook, on other social media platforms, or even online like a Yelp, Google reviews, and so on and so forth. So pricing is just one aspect. And by the way, the overall economy also is another aspect. If you are in a let's say in a bullish economy, people might not really care about the price because the economy is bullish, and you are in a niche that doesn't care about price. I mean, that doesn't really focus too much on pricing. Pricing is not going to be the only element. So if you have the lowest price, you might just lose revenue. Okay, if customers are not sensitive to pricing that much, you'll be losing revenue if you set your price too low. Another controversial truth that I hear about e-commerce store success has to focus on, let's say, marketing. So some people say, well, marketing, if you just automate things from the get-go, you are good to go. In other words, you just analyze the market, you do some market research, you just look at your competitor strains, and you really maybe you might want to copy a little bit from them, okay? Emulate what they're doing well, and really trying to really bring your own flavor to the whole marketing equation too. That's kind of cool. Don't get me wrong, but you can't just think that e-commerce marketing is just set and forget. No, because the economy is changing all the time. Trends are shifting. Consumers' preferences are changing all the time, and so marketing has to be something constant. It has to be constant. It has to be agile if you want to really capture a significant part of the market. Okay, so that's important because that just means that you have to really see what's happening in the market, and you have to use some benchmarking strategy to adapt your marketing to the overall shifts in the economy, overall shift in the niche that you're in. Okay. Another controversial truth is that you can't compete with big retailers. I mean, you can compete with big retailers to a certain extent. So don't try to really compete head on with Walmart or Albertsons, for instance. No, or even Whole Food. Okay. The thing is that you have to really see where you have a competitive edge, where you have a certain advantage. That's an important element to think about. It's one of those things where you have to really understand that for you to really compete, you can't just compete on price or product variety. You have to have something else, maybe customer service, maybe the specific, maybe the pricing also, but also the way you engage around your brand. Okay, the way you engage with customers around your brand. So your branding has to be very important. Of course, big retailers have extensive resources. That's for sure, right? But if you're a small business, you can still thrive if you can identify properly the niche that's actually there for you. Just focus on a niche, offer unique products, and provide more personalized and customer centric experiences. Another controversial truths that I hear a lot about e-commerce store success is that social media is only for millennials, like 20 years old or 30 years old. That's a big lie, really big lie. Why? Because you have a lot of seniors, a lot of let's say middle-aged adults using social media for various purposes. The thing is, when you say social media as a construct, you are speaking about multiple platforms. You're speaking about platforms that go from LinkedIn to Facebook to Instagram to Pinterest to Snapchat to TikTok. You really have to Twitter, now called X. So social media is not just let's say a homogeneous sort of construct. No, you have different platforms. Okay, so for instance, when you think about social media, like if you think about a social media such as LinkedIn, you don't have the same target audience as if you have a social media such as TikTok. Totally different, right? But those two are called social media. In other words, those are media where people socialize online. Those are media platforms where people socialize online. So social media is definitely not for it's definitely not only for millennials. It's just that you have to identify what kind of special social media you want to go after. Okay, because social media platforms have diverse user bases, including older adults. Okay, this is an important element. As a matter of fact, there was research that came out last month that showed that over a third of Facebook users are aged 45 and above. That's really huge, over one third. So you can tailor your social media strategy to target specific demographics, ensuring that your marketing efforts reach a broad range of potential customers. Okay, also, email marketing is dead. That's not true. I mean, this is really a huge misconception that email marketing is outdated and no longer effective in the age of social media and instant messaging. No. If you want to really solidify your revenue this year, you want to really think about email marketing big time, okay? So, email marketing is far from dead. In fact, it remains one of the most reliable and cost effective ways to engage with your audience. Personalized and well timed email campaigns can drive conversions and keep customers informed and engaged. So this is really this is what's going to help you actually revive, if you will, your e-commerce stores sales. Another controversial truth that I hear all the time has to do with paid advertising. So PPC, or let's just say regular advertising on Facebook, on Google, whatever. Okay, on Bing. Okay, and so don't be hesitant. Don't be hesitant to invest in paid advertising. It is not unnecessary. The expense is definitely worth it. Now, having said that, you have to be strategic. You have to see what you have to focus on, and what you have to focus on has to match the specific audience you're going after. That's really important. Okay, the specific audience you're going after. One thing I need to say here is that when it comes to paid advertising, you know, you have let's say a process, okay, that can provide an excellent return on investment for your business. So platforms like Google Ads and Facebook Ads allow you to target specific demographics and reach potential customers who are actively in the market for products or services like yours. And that's what you want. You want to have that specific level where you can really like that specific level of granularity where you can really talk to the customers directly. And also another controversial truth that I hear a lot is that SEO is a one-time task. Not at all. Okay, SEO is an ongoing task. SEO is really an ongoing effort, especially when it comes to solidifying your organic search. Okay, so SEO is often misunderstood as a one-time task that once completed will secure a high ranking on search, like a high ranking on search engines forever. Like you're trying to really increase your site's rank on SERPs, right? This is not a one. This is an ongoing effort. It has to be a constant initiative. So search engine optimization continually really will help you update like your websites, keep your website fresh. Why? Because Google updates their algorithm 500 to 600 times a year. Think about that. Okay, so if Google is updating their algorithm more than 600 times a year, what about you? You know, you have a website and you're trying to really get traffic from Google. You really from search results. You have to like keep your content fresh. Okay, so you can really important. So regularly updating and optimizing your website's content, meta tags, and backlinks is actually essential. To maintain and improve your search engine rankings. Another controversial truth that I hear a lot is that conversion rate optimization is unnecessary. So CRO is not really something that's really important, and that's another big lie. Okay, because the whole thing is that you know you do not want to overlook the importance of optimizing your website for conversions. Because even if you had a great product, if your product is wonderful, you still need to have a way for customers to want it. Okay, so even if like the point is that if you don't optimize your websites for a CRO, you are definitely missing opportunities. So conversion rate optimization involves enhancing the user experience, experimenting with different elements, and fine-tuning your site to encourage visitors to take the actions you want, like making a purchase, for instance, or maybe clicking on a CTA, okay, call to action. It's actually a crucial aspect of successful e-commerce marketing that you definitely don't want to overlook, especially if you're focusing on, let's say, timed sales, seasonal sales, for instance. Okay. Another controversial truth about e-commerce store success has to do with e-commerce marketing being a solo endeavor. In other words, you by yourself, you can really implement a vast strategy, a vast marketing strategy, and really implement it, and you'll be fine. No, no, okay. You cannot tackle every aspect of e-commerce marketing by yourself without any external assistance or expertise, especially if you are in a very competitive niche. Okay, your niche will determine the kind of strategy you need to really think about. Okay, so e-commerce marketing is a complex field. Think about it, and it's a field that encompasses website development, SEO, content creation, social media management, and more. So while you can start on your own, consider seeking expert help or outsourcing specific tasks as your business grows. So teaming up with specialists can work wonders for your results, especially this this year because you have a lot of shifts in the economy, and also you are able to really reach out to several aspects of your audience through maybe a social media marketing, for instance. Okay, so that's an important element to keep in mind, especially if you want to make sure you are getting revenue on a consistent basis. So let me give you other facts. Okay, one thing I want to say here is that when you think about e-commerce store success, don't think it's easy. Okay, don't think that you can just anybody can make money selling online. Not anybody is not cut for the sort of trenches that you have in online sales. I always say that online sales has a very high penetration rate. In other words, everybody can come in, but very few will stay. Anybody can come in, but anybody can also get out. Okay, so the exit rate is kind of high too. Exit rate is kind of high. So if you want to survive if you want to be profitable, if you will, selling online, there are a few things you need to keep in mind. Number one, just like in any other profession, you have to put in the hours to get better at your trade and have enough grit to persevere the early bumps. Okay, so being an entrepreneur is hard, And starting an e-commerce business is in no way, shape, or form any easier than a tech startup or even a grocery store, even though in people's conception it may be the case. Okay, so it's one of those things where you have to understand that you're gonna have a lot of sleepless nights. You're gonna have to be lonely at times, and you're gonna face failures too. And also, what I want to say here is that when it comes to e-commerce store success, remember that you have other ways of making money, of selling. You don't have to set up a website. There are other ways you can just maybe sell on social media. You can sell through platforms such as Amazon or eBay or Etsy, for instance. Those are marketplaces. You don't have to set up a store yourself. Okay, so there are ways to actually, how do I say it, to offset the risk of setting everything up and not really getting the sales that you really need to see. Okay, and one thing I also want to say is that for you to succeed, I think I've said this before. Don't think you have to offer the lowest price at all. At all. What you want is you want to offer a price that can really help you get some revenue, but also some profits, but be consistent over time. Okay, that's way more important than actually having a low price and then after a while you just exit the market because you have no more profits. And also, don't forget that eBay is still here to stay. Okay, eBay is as big as ever. Don't think eBay is not relevant anymore. Simply because you don't hear about it, okay, doesn't mean that it has gone away. It's still here. It's just that they have shifted their strategy, okay? But eBay has, they have 200 to 300 million active users every single month. So if you want to have a successful e-commerce store strategy, do not underestimate the importance of eBay. One thing you also need to understand about e-commerce store success is that it's actually it does come with actual cost. So simply because everything is happening online doesn't mean you don't have to you don't have to think about overhead. Okay, no, you do have overhead. Okay, from inventory to hosting to plugins, those things can actually cost a lot every single month. Okay, so because those software costs, they usually charge you on a subscription basis. So in other words, you're paying every single month. Okay, and one thing I want to say also is that if you want to become a multi-channel, you don't have to really think that you have to scale the business right away. Remember that it takes time. It takes time, and it's one of those things where you want to start with one channel before moving to another, and so on and so forth. Be gradual, be strategic, and most importantly, think about what really makes sense from the customer point of view. Also, don't think that those retailers such as eBay and Amazon are too big to compete with. No, like I said a little earlier, remember that you are actually the richest is in the niche. The riches, the riches are in the niches. Okay, so if you're niche down, chances are you can make money too. If you focus on a specific niche, on a specific corner of the economy of the market, you can really grab that your share there and still make money. Don't try to please everybody at the same time. Okay, be strategic in terms of how you direct your marketing efforts, how you direct your your psychographics. That's going to help you big time. Okay, especially from a scalability point of view, you are more likely to scale from a small niche into a big niche than the other way around. Okay, that's really important, regardless of the location where you are at, the city and state where you are at. Okay, this is an important element. So the takeaway here in today's conversation, I share with you 10 controversial truths about e-commerce store success. I spoke about the top myths, other facts, and now the takeaway. Thank you so much. God bless you. I will speak to you another time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.